Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and we saved, in my opinion, what was the most exciting from this box of Recur figures for last, which just so happens to be an absolutely gigantic Carnotaurus. It is a brand new Carnotaurus from Recur, and definitely a very fun looking one overall, sporting a really cool greenish paint scheme, and again, the size is ridiculous. It is definitely the biggest Recur figure I have in my collection, and probably one of the most impressive due to the very large size. And if we take a look here as we kind of pan out a little bit, you can see just how nice the Carnotaurus looks. Overall, a really cool kind of a walking pose with the tail just tapping the ground for what potentially seems like maybe just a second as it walks along, and maybe is even letting out a roar over here, or potentially about to take down something. I don't know for sure, but it has a pretty cool looking pose to it, a pretty nice looking paint job as well, and an overall incredibly impressive size. So let's go ahead, jump straight to a closer look right now. So as usual, we have a tag that comes with our Recur figure here down on the ankle, which if we can open this up, we can get a good idea of the size and also the scale of our Carnotaurus, which you can see is 1/16 scale, showing you just why it's so huge. And then if I can keep this tag open for just a second, you can see that there's some information here on the Carnotaurus, as well as kind of like a question and answer area over here. And then when we get to the next one, you just have generally some information on Recur there. So a pretty fun booklet that they always include. So starting up here at the head sculpt of our Carnotaurus, you can straight away take note to the fact that it's not your most accurate interpretation of a Carnotaurus. And that's something that is kind of to be expected when it comes to a Recur figure, because they always follow the trend of having their own kind of stylized versions. So I never take points off as far as that goes, because that's just kind of their thing. And I really like the difference of Recur figures from so many others. It keeps a nice fresh feel overall. But you can see that as far as like the actual detailing here of the head sculpt of the Carnotaurus, it is really nicely done. There's a lot of beautiful scale detail included up here on the face of the Carnotaurus. You can see some very nice slight hints of coloration added, as well as like you have like some slight blacks kind of shading certain areas. You have like a pinkish type of a color that runs throughout this kind of off-white. Like you can see it's an off-white here, but then you have hints of like pinks and stuff included as well up here in the face. So really cool as far as that coloration goes. Really nice, very subtle paintwork to the face of the figure. You can see the nostrils are sculpted out right there up in the snout. You can also see the eyes are painted with a red, given a black pupil, and have a beautiful gloss coat to them, so they shine quite realistically. And then as you lead back up here into the top of the head, you can see those trademark Carnotaurus horns are sculpted out up here. Lots of really nice fine detail included there as well. And you can see the very nice scale detail up here on the top of the head of the Carnotaurus. Very vibrant scale detail. As you lead down here into the lower jaw, you can see that the actual texturing down here looks quite nice as well. The teeth are all nicely sculpted and nicely painted, which is something that you quite often find when it comes to a Recur figure. You can see the inside of the mouth has the tongue sticking up, and it's also painted with a reddish coloration. Some nice looking detail there on the top of the mouth, and it has a very nice, very realistic glossy look to it as well. And then if you start to lead back here into the neck region of our Carnotaurus, you can see some nice creasing showing up. The osteoderms, those kind of trademark osteoderms of the Carnotaurus, also start to show up, and you can see that they're painted with a black coloration. Really nice greenish tones to the Carnotaurus as well, and you can see how they're kind of like dry brushed over some off-white, so that the detail pops quite beautifully with the way that that kind of white creeps out between the areas of the skin texture. You can also see a line of ridges runs down along the back of the neck of the Carnotaurus. Leading down here into the arm of the Carnotaurus, it's nice and short like we would expect it to be. You've got some nicely sculpted out fingers. The arms are held into the body in a really nice natural way, which I really quite like as well. There's actually some fingernail paint, which Carnotaurus didn't actually have fingernails, so that is again a little bit of the Recur line taking their own liberties with their figures and kind of having their own stylized versions. You can kind of see the stomach region a little bit here, but not too much because the leg is pulling forward so far and the arm is kind of held into the stomach region as well, so it's a little tough to pick up on. but you can see some nice color variation as well as some nice looking scale detail included in there. Beautiful osteoderms again that run the course of the figure. You can see some nice skin wrinkles and folds and stuff throughout the course of the body as we lead back up here into the hip region. I love again how they've painted this with like that really nice dry brushing, so that lighter coloration just pops between each and every area of the skin texture, and you can see it transitions actually to like a brownish color up here for the coloration of the body under the green. So that definitely looks really nice and has some nice color variation to it. You can see some absolutely immense muscle definition here to the thigh as we lead down. You can also see some nice shading that's been done with a darker coloration there in the thigh. You have the kneecap present right here in the front of the leg. Beautiful bulging calf muscle here in the back of the leg, and I like that it transitions to that off-white, but then they've dry brushed like a black or a dark brown over top, so the skin texture in that area looks really nice, and you can see that gorgeous looking foot sculpt. Beautiful scoots down the toes, which that detailing of those scoots has been brought out beautifully with that dry brushing. Again, we have those nice black nails there, nice glossy look for those nails. And we do, of course, have dew claws, so you can see that there on the opposing foot. The skin is stretching really nicely here off of the tail. Again, that leg is pulling forward pretty far, so it's really nicely stretching the skin. And you can see more of those osteoderms, and I love that they've painted the osteoderms with a nice black. You can also see the nice stripes that start to pick up out here on the tail. They have a nice dark brown striping that runs down the course of the tail. Beautiful skin folds and stuff throughout the length of the tail. As we lead out here, we get closer to the tip. You can see how those ridges taper off, as do the osteoderms. And then we just have some more of those stripes and that really nice greenish coloration. Nice curves to the tail as well. If we take a look here at the underside, you can see how there's some really nice curves to the tail, and the detailing in general here on the underside is super nice looking. Very nice off-white coloration here for the underside of the Carnotaurus. Beautiful movement shown here in the throat of the Carno as well. If we can turn it around, it's again very big. You can see that the head sculpt over here also sports that really nice coloration. Again, that very subtle, like almost like a hint of pinkish type of a color in certain areas of the face, and then the really nice greens, blacks, and everything. You have like those osteoderms that run down here around the eye and everything. As we move back here into the neck region, you can see how the skin is really stretching because the Carnotaurus has its head turned to the right, so it's nicely stretching the skin over here. And again, the osteoderms pick up, as well as those ridges up there on the back running along the spinal column. The arm is definitely, again, held into the body in a very nice natural way over here. You can really see some nice girth in the stomach region over here. You couldn't see so much of the stomach on the opposing side due to the leg bunching the skin up and pushing into the body, but here it's stretching as that leg trails, so you can see like the skin stretching here off of the body as the leg trails, but also a lot more generally of the detailing here in the stomach region with the very nice, again, green dry brushing to that paint. You can also see some subtle areas of browns and stuff showing up, which looks really cool. And then leading back here, you can continue to see the osteoderms all over the course of the figure. Again, some nice variations of greens and browns and everything as you lead down the thigh, down into the foot. Beautiful, again, muscle definition throughout both the thigh and calf region, but again, we have that really nice foot sculpt as we lead down here. Nice scoots down the course of the toes. Again, the dry brushing here with that dark brown really makes the detailing of this area pop beautifully. And you also have those very nicely painted nails. And now you can see the dew claw on the opposing foot as well. And then we lead up here as the leg pushes back here into the tail area. You can kind of see the skin bunching up and stuff right there. And then you have lots of skin wrinkles and stuff throughout the course of the underside there of the tail as you lead out the length of the tail with those nice osteoderms and those ridges and everything running along the back. It's a really nice looking figure as the foot kind of drags along the backdrop right there because it's so huge, but it's a really nice looking figure, honestly. Definitely a very cool and very appealing looking Carnotaurus, and with the immense size, it is twice as appealing as the normal Recur Carnotaurus would be, so an absolute blast of a figure for sure. And even though the figure is huge, it definitely stands really nicely, like there are no balancing issues to the Carnotaurus at all. As far as a size, and again, it's big, like I stated, for a length from the tail to the snout, you are looking at about 19¼ inches, or about the 49 centimeter range. And then for a height to the top, probably of that horn, you were looking at about 8¼ inches, or 21 centimeters. So I warned you guys it was big, and to show you that for a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, and Robert Muldoon from the Mattel Jurassic World toy line. in comparison to our Recur Carnotaurus, and you can really tell now what I was talking about as far as just how huge it is. Like, it is absolutely massive. I feel like you can't truly tell just from me telling you the size. It's not until you really get a good comparison that you can see just how ridiculously gigantic this Carnotaurus is. Again, a very, very impressively sized figure to go with a really impressive sculpt and paint application. So this Recur Carnotaurus is definitely the biggest figure as far as a Recur model goes that I have in my collection. There's also, I think it was a Velociraptor that they had released quite a ways back that was really big that I do also have in my collection, but I feel like this Carnotaurus is the biggest Recur figure that I have in general because it is just huge overall. Very, very impressive as far as a size goes. But once we move past the obvious gigantic size of the figure, we have a really nice sculpt on the figure. Again, the detailing is beautifully done. There is a lot of really, really nice detailing to this figure. Like, the skin wrinkles and stuff are gorgeous in the stomach region on the right side of the figure, and you could just see how beautiful the skin texture is on that area because of the larger size. And I just absolutely love what they've done here as far as the fine detailing of this Carnotaurus sculpt-wise. The Carnotaurus is in a nice natural position with the arms held into the body as it's just kind of walking along. And again, I feel like that tail is just like tapping the ground for a moment as it's just moving as the Carnotaurus walks. The mouth is open a little bit, like it's maybe just letting out some sort of a vocalization. It doesn't look angry. It doesn't look like it's actually in any type of like a confrontation. It just looks like maybe it's letting out some sort of a noise. I don't know exactly what, but it's nice to see a little bit more of a peaceful appearance to a Carnotaurus every once in a while. The coloration as well is beautiful. I love the tones of browns and greens and orangish browns and even subtle hints of like pinks in certain areas that they've included throughout the course of this entire figure. The really nice dry brushing along the legs and down into the feet looks great, really makes those areas of the detail pop. The nice dry brushing with the green and allowing the lighter coloration under the green to pop the green beautifully all looks great. And again, the actual application of the paint is really smooth, really nice and natural looking on the figure overall. I love the fact that they've painted all of the osteoderms out as well with a nice black or a dark brown. So again, a really, really cool looking Carnotaurus with a super impressive size, really nice sculpt, really nice paint job. Of course, it's that soft, squishy feel like you always get from Recur, so you can kind of squish it and move it around, making it very safe to buy for your kids. And considering the giant size of it, they would be very enthusiastic about this Carnotaurus. But you also have the factor of it being very hard to damage, and that is a great thing for collectors like me. So it's not something that if I drop it, I'm going to damage it. That just doesn't really happen with Recur figures. So another gorgeous release from the Recur line. And again, unfortunately, this is the final of the Recur figures from my most recent unboxing that I have to review. So hopefully I can acquire some more in the very near future and review some more for you guys and show you more of what Recur has to offer. But again, this run here was an absolutely awesome run full of fantastic figures. So if you are interested in this insanely awesome Carnotaurus, as well as any of the other figures that I've reviewed from Recur recently, make sure you check the links in the description, as I will have links there for the Amazon Recur store as well as just generally the Recur website. So you can head on over there, pick yourself up some fantastic Recur figures today, and make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.